Hey everyone, so now you have your brushes loaded and I'm sure you are ready to get started painting. So in this short tutorial, I'm going to show you the foundations, the fundamentals of painting with this method, and then in the following ones, more specific tips and tricks. So to get started, you open your image that you're working from and you can make it any resolution, any size you want. So that's the amazing thing. It's no smart objects. So it's not like you have to fit it in somebody else's format. You pick the image size that you want to work with. And then once you've got it the size that you want, then go over here on the left and get your pattern stamp tool. And we're going to start painting. But first, we have to set the image as our pattern for our pattern stamp tool brush technique. So we want to go up here into Edit, and then you go define pattern, and you can assign a keyboard shortcut if you want. So click define pattern, and that's going to put your background image as the pattern for the pattern stamp tool. And that means whenever we paint with the brushes, it's going to spit out this pattern, but in this image in a very impressionist way. So these brushes are very, this took a lot of work to get the brushes to basically do what I want and put the image out, but also do it in a way that's very impressionist and very artistic. So you can name it whatever you want, just leave it, but we just click OK, and now we have that background pattern. The background set is our pattern base. We go over here to our pattern stamp tool, and if you don't see that pattern stamp tool, it could be hiding underneath your clone stamp tool. So just make sure that you have that selected. We want to go up to our patterns here, make sure we select the pattern, the image to work from. So we've selected the image that we just made. Make sure that you have aligned and impressionist checked, and that is literally it. So let's go over to our brushes. And what's cool is I am going to make a new layer here. You could just start, if you want, you can just start painting on top of your image, or you can do it a variety of different ways. So one little tip that I want to tell you is that what I do is I normally copy my background layer and put it on the top, and so that way I can kind of turn it on and off over my image that I'm creating and kind of compare the original with what I'm creating. And like I said, you could just make a new layer and start painting over your image, and that's one way to do it. My personal preference is I might just throw down a background color like you have here. I kind of like to do what I can call kind of an underpainting. So I will take one of my artistic brushes, for example, brush number 84, which is quite a big artistic one, and just kind of go over the whole canvas like this. And you see I'm just doing some up and down strokes. I'm not painting anything. And I just start filling in my canvas. I think this looks really cool, especially if I'm doing like a demo or something. I like doing this underpainting layer. And as you can see the man start to appear here. But the art, like this is one of the artistic brushes, so it's going to displace the pixels a lot, so it doesn't look so aligned. But this is like one of my preferred method. And then I'm just going to keep adding layers, and I add another layer. And now I'm going to use one of my fill brushes. The fill is great for just kind of filling in large spaces quickly. I've got 5 of those, and basically they're modified versions of a few of the brushes that I have in the main collection, which is actually why I don't count that. So you actually have 105 brushes. But here's fill 4, and this kind of gives it's a nice base layer. So I'm just going to go through, and as you see, I'm not drawing anything. I am simply just brushing back and forth, and my image is coming through here. And I don't have to do anything, and it looks cool. It looks impressionist. And the cool thing is every single one of these brushes gives a slightly different effect. And you can work on a single layer, but personally I like to add a new layer each time, and that way you can turn on and off layers and it's more non-destructive. So every one of these brushes displaces the pixels a little bit different, has a slightly different brush stroke. And so the thing that makes this technique so artistic is that the strokes follow the movement of your brushes, so you can just paint over and your image directionally, and those strokes apply directionally. So it's very artistic. That's the fundamentals. We've got all the aligned brushes, which you can just keep painting over your image, adding layers, and it's always going to look a little bit different. Each brush will look a little bit different. And then what else am I going to show you in this one? And you can adjust your brush size up, bigger or smaller. If you adjust your brush size smaller, it's going to be more detailed and show more detail. And if you make your brush bigger, it's going to be more artistic and loose. And now that's the fundamentals of it. So it's really just this easy. And if you look here, I've got my image on top, so I can turn that back on and kind of compare it to my original. And in the following videos, I'm going to show you more tips and tricks, and we'll get into working more in detail and how to use the artistic brushes.